Okay, this is Andrew. This is project number 2, the domain name server setup. And I've done this class a couple of times, so I'm kind of learning the best way to do it. Going through the last semester, we did the Linux server, and that's good, but this semester I'm going to try a Windows server. And which one's more important? Well, often they're both important, but since you have Windows server already on your site, might as well use a domain name service is available on that. So we're going to try that this semester. And a lot of these projects are interrelated, like the Exchange service, Active Directory, DNS, DHCP. All these are kind of interrelated, and in fact, you have to have Active Directory running to use the domain name service. So if we completed this project here, we would already have Active Directory complete, which is okay. We could just do 2 weeks for this assignment, do it that way, and then skip project 5 when we get to it. But I think what I prefer to do is we're going to create the whole virtual environment now that we're going to be using for the rest of the semester. That way we'll have the virtual environment down, and then we can do Active Directory, Exchange, and domain name service setup on it as we go along. So don't worry too much. You'll see what I'm talking about as we go through it. But I think this probably makes the best sense. And so let's get started. All right, so the problem description: the student will design and implement a DNS service by creating a virtual lab. The student will implement a Windows Server 2012R and a Windows client machine and VirtualBox on a host machine. Then configure the server and client for DNS services. The student will demonstrate successful implementation of the service and submit a report on the project. Okay, hardware required is you need 64-bit host PC to support a 2012R server. If you only have a 32-bit machine, you can use 2008R server. Okay, and you'll need an internet connection. So the software required is Windows Server 2012R2 ISO image, VirtualBox virtualization software, Windows 7 ISO image, and image to ISO converter utility. You may need it, you may not. Okay, so basically what's this mean? You need the VirtualBox virtualization software, and then you need a server and a client. Here, you're free to use Windows 7, 8, 10, whatever you like. You just need a client. Okay, so then you need the image to ISO. Well, where do you get these? Okay, the university has a page where you can download all of this stuff for free, and also if you go to Microsoft's website, they'll let you have the server for a trial period, 180 days, I believe. Okay, so overview of the procedures. Watch this video I'm doing now with the lab document, and the document and this video work together to describe the project. So in this lab, you'll create a virtual server and a virtual client and a virtual network. And then we'll save configuring a DNS server on this Windows server after we do Active Directory in Project 5. Okay, but when we get to Project 5, you'll already have a large part of it done, because this is going to be the whole entire virtual environment that you'll need. Okay, you will verify the virtual links using ping command and ipconfig. And then we're also going to use DNS server to resolve a name to an IP address in Project 5. So that's what will be added to Project 5. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The first thing you're going to do, so this host machine is your PC, right? This is a lab setup. And the first thing you're going to do is download VirtualBox. And let's just envision VirtualBox as this red box inside your PC. All right, so then you create a server inside this VirtualBox. And then you create a second virtual machine, which is your Windows client. It can be Windows XP 7, 8.1, 10, whatever you like, I don't care. Okay, then you'll configure a virtual network that connects these computers inside your machine. And then you're going to verify the virtual link connection. And then in the final, at Project 5, we're going to verify that the server resolves a domain name to an IP address after we install Active Directory. Okay, so that's basically the way it looks. Description of the virtual environment. Okay, the virtual environment is defined by the virtual machines that we create. In this red box is what we're calling VirtualBox. That's a software that you're going to download, and then you create these virtual machines inside that environment. It's going to be defined by whatever machines you create. These days you can create almost anything, routers, pretty much anything. The images running on the machines. So in fact, I did this deliberately because here's the server and here's the client. What's really the difference between the server and the client? Could be just the image, the software running on it. That's it, the image. Because the hardware could be exactly the same. Now, a server may require more advanced hardware than a client. So in that case, this might have more memory or a greater processor or whatever, but the boxes could still look the same, or they could look totally different. Doesn't really matter. Okay, and then the way that we connect these machines together in the virtual network. Okay, so let's take a look here. The first thing you want to do is download and install VirtualBox. Okay, here's the link. It's pretty simple. You just navigate to that link, click here, and download VirtualBox, and then here navigate to your download folder, click on that link, and then just accept all the default settings. So if you go here, set up the virtual environment in VirtualBox. So if you go here, this link shows you how to set up your virtual environment. So basically what you're going to do is configure a shell for both the Windows Server and the Windows client. He did a Windows 10, I believe. So you can do, again, like I said, Windows 7, XP, 8.1, whatever you like, and then the 2012 R2 server. So these are, after this stage, it's just a shell. It's basically configuring your, where the files are going to exist, things of that nature. You haven't actually loaded the ISO image. So on the next step is you're going to create the 2012R server VirtualBox, and then here's the link. He shows you how to do that. And then once you get to the end, it should look like this. This is your 2012 VirtualBox, okay? So that's what it should look like. Then after that, you just repeat. You want to load in your client. So load in, I'll fix that. It's for your client. This will be your this will be your Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 machine. He used 10, so it should look like that when you get to the end. Okay, so great. This is what you have now. Right, we kind of discussed this, but this is what you have. You have this VirtualBox, and you now have a server, a Windows 2012 server, and a Windows 7 client in this VirtualBox, but they're not connected. So you may or may not know you have NIC cards, which they're going to call it interfaces. They're going to be virtual interfaces. You could have a 2-port, 4-port, 1-port NIC interface card, okay? Well, if I used a 2-port on each machine, then theoretically I could link these two machines and then link these to the internet as well. So this is a generic virtual network, okay? I'm not defining for you what the network should be. But what I am saying is you have to have a virtual link here. So that means from this interface to this interface, you want virtual link to. You can use this network, 192.168.2 network for this guy. And then you may want you need this to also be able to reach the internet, okay? And this one should be able to reach the internet. So if you assign IP addresses to the NIC cards on link 2, you use this address and then use this network. And you should know how to use addresses on that. And you should know how to assign addresses to a PC by now. If you don't, you can look that up easily enough. Okay, so each machine should be able to reach the internet and each other. So use that. Now, once you're done, so say you can change this network a little. Just let me know what you did. If you don't want this to reach the internet, maybe it has to later, but for now, whatever. Just define a picture of what you did, the IP addresses on it, and then what you want to do is use IP. Go into the command prompt, the CMD prompt, and type in ipconfig, okay? And then that will give you a list of all your interfaces and what the IP addresses are, the networks, and the default gateway on each interface of each machine. So that's what you want to do, is include that in the write-up. Then also you want to use ping to verify full connectivity. So whatever you did, if this is going to wherever it's going, it's up to you, to this machine or to whatever the internet, you want to verify that you can ping out to it. You also want to verify that you can ping to this machine, and you want to ping out through you want to make sure you have full connectivity, and you want to use ping to verify that. So you just go back to the command prompt, and for example, if this is 192.168.2.20 and this is 192.168.2.10, and I'm on this machine, I go into the command prompt and I just type ping 192.168.2.20, and then it should ping down and ping back. That tells me I have full connectivity. Okay, so then what we'll do in the final stage is we'll give this machine a name, like client 1, and then we'll be able to just say ping client 1, and it'll go down. It'll know that this is it'll map this DNS name client 1 to this IP address. So you just say ping client 1, and it'll go down and come back. And that's what we'll do after we implement Active Directory in Project 5. Okay, so we discussed that. So I want you to go ahead and watch this link. It's a good introductory to DNS, what a DNS is and what we're going to do. But don't configure DNS. We'll finish DNS in Project 5 after we install Active Directory. Okay, so write this project up in the format that we've discussed. Introduction, procedures, describe your virtual network that you finally chose to do. Show IP config results. Okay, this is the IP addresses on all your NICs. Prove full connectivity. That means ping everything out. From everything needs to be able to ping everything, and show your screenshots that it actually worked. And then conclusion is just typical, what you learned, challenges that you had, etc., etc. And then include screenshots for each important step in your write-up. Okay, thanks a lot. Now this is really important that you get this virtual environment up and working, because the exchanges, the Active Directory, the exchange, and the DNS server is all going to depend on getting this up and working. So that's another reason I like to go ahead and just get the virtual environment working now. It gives you time, even if you don't get it done this week, even if you fail to get it actually working this week, you still have a couple more weeks to get it working before we get into Active Directory and Exchange. So, because you're going to have it working in order to complete those projects. All right, thanks a lot and good luck.